Welcome to Chaos Reborn, a historical simulation of the wizard wars that raged across Europe during the Middle Ages. You can read the details on Wikipedia just as soon as I've paid someone to edit it. Now, the game is described as a cross between chess and poker. The chess reference is perhaps less interesting because most strategy games tend to require planning several moves ahead as well as careful positioning of your units. Like in chess, the poker reference is kind of interesting because just as in poker, in Chaos Reborn you have to make the best with the hand fate has dealt you, and you also have bluffing, which is very unusual in strategy games. You don't often find it. So anyway, what I'm going to do here is play a match against the AI, which I've renamed as the enemy. This is in offline mode. I've disabled the turn timer. I'd just like to talk about the game as I'm playing it, because strategy games are one of those games that really benefit from the player explaining why he's making the moves he's making, what's going through his head as he's reacting to the opposition. Most of the game is in the player's head. So anyway, I'm going to start here. As you can see, I've got my wizard over here. Think of the wizard as your king in chess. It's generally wise to keep your wizard at least 6 hexes away from the opposing wizard. There's a reason for that. I'll go into that later. Right now, you can see whenever I highlight my wizard, these hexes are highlighted to show the maximum or possible movement spaces. So what I'm going to do now is try to scan the battlefield for threats and opportunities. This is something you will do at the start of every turn. Because I'm moving first, there are no threats at the moment, no immediate threats anyway. In terms of opportunities, there are 3 mana sprites on the battlefield. Mana sprites give you mana. Mana can be used to unlock your mega spell, a very powerful spell. Mine is Herd of Elephants. My enemy's mega spell is a Horde of Goblins. It's relatively cheap at 55 mana. Mine is also 55. So I'm going to position my wizard closer to one of the mana sprites in the middle. And I'm going to cast my first spell. I'm going to summon a rat pack. This gives me 3 rats if I succeed. You'll notice it only has a 90% chance of succeeding. That means a 1 in 10 chance of failing. One of the things in this game that's kind of important is to deal with failure. Have a plan B when plan A gets ripped to shreds by fate. So in fact, the enemy AI or the human player is only one of 3 forces you have to contend with. So the 3 forces are your opposition, either AI or player. The second is fate, represented by the RNG, which governs not only spellcasting but also attacks. The third force you have to contend with is time, as represented by the turn timer. As you see here, I've set the match to end in 20 turns. So first thing I'm going to do, summon or attempt to summon 3 rats. I managed to summon the rats. The rats are very weak creatures. If you want to take an in-depth look at the rats, you hit F2. Gives you an info card, tells you the rat is a pack of hideously mutated giant rats, can provide a useful service for a wizard. They may be weak in combat, but they are fast and very, very hungry. Very, very hungry, not so useful. Fast. Why do they say fast? Because it has a movement speed of 3, which is above average if you consider 2 as the average movement speed. In terms of attack and defense, they are very, very weak. But on the plus side, you get 3 of them, so it is useful to pressure the enemy wizard in the early game. So I have nothing left to do. I'm going to simply hit end turn and see what the enemy wizard does. As I cast spell, I get a spell from my deck. These are your spells in hand. I have 11 spells remaining. Now the enemy wizard has summoned a unicorn. Again, if you want to see what a unicorn is capable of, you hit F2, you get data here. Unicorn is a mount which the wizard can ride, and it has a special attack. It gets a bonus attack of plus 20 when it is charging. Charging means you move and then attack. So there is a small chance that this could be an illusion. What are illusions? Illusions are, they function exactly as real creatures would, with one important difference. If I attempt to disbelieve, the illusion immediately disappears. So I've got a choice here. Do I want to disbelieve this unicorn? It has a base casting chance of 60%. It is kind of low. So do I want to disbelieve? I can afford to fail this disbelief, so I'm going to attempt to disbelieve it. But first, I'm going to position these rats here. I fail my disbelief, so it's a real creature. Now what I'm going to do now, take a look at the possible movement for the unicorn. It can move to all these spaces in the next turn. I'm going to position my rat over here. It's going to be close enough to reach this mana sprite, so if the enemy wizard moves towards this mana sprite, I can attack the enemy wizard with my rat. So you got to remember that the goal of the game is not to kill every creature the enemy wizard has. The goal of the game is to kill the enemy wizard. Sometimes you don't need to destroy every enemy creature to win the match. Since I can't reach this mana sprite safely, I'm going to retreat. I can't summon a creature now because I failed my disbelief, and that prevents me from casting in this turn. The AI summons a rat pack of its own. What I'm going to do is move my rat over here. If the enemy rat attempts to attack my rat, it only has a 33% chance of killing it. Why is that? Because it's attacking from a lower hex. Height plays an important role in attack and defense. You get a bonus to your attacks when you're attacking from a higher hex. If you're attacking from a lower hex, you suffer a penalty. I'm going to move my rats over here. None of these rats can reach me. I'm going to move my wizard towards the mana sprite to get 25 mana. But before I do that, I'm going to cast a dwarf. A dwarf, it normally has a casting chance of 90%, but right now it's 93% because the cosmic balance has shifted towards law. How do you shift the cosmic balance? The more law spells you cast, the easier it becomes to summon law creatures and cast law spells. I succeed, so I'm going to move towards the mana sprite. The dwarf is a very slow moving creature. I think its main strength is its strong defense. It's pretty useful as a defensive creature in the early game. So let's see what the AI does. Summons a goblin. It attempts to kill my rat and succeeds. I'm going to attempt to kill this rat. I succeed. Move my rat over here. Managed to get 25 mana. I've got a choice of spells. What do I want to cast here? If you take a look at the enemy's mega spell, it's a chaos spell. I do have 2 law spells left. I have some pretty useful law spells in hand. I'm going to cast Eagle. I succeed. I'm going to keep my dwarf over here. End the turn. One of my rats gets killed, that's okay. Rats don't tend to last very long. And okay, that is one of the silly moves that the AI makes. it used a magic bowl. Usually a magic bowl is a match-winning spell, and generally wise not to waste it on a mere rat. You want to keep that to attack a powerful creature or the enemy wizard. What I'm going to do is move the eagle over here. I could have moved my eagle over here, but that would have given this rat an opportunity to attack the eagle. So positioning is very vital in this game. The reason you should take a lot of care with your positioning is because the RNG governs spellcasting, it governs attacks. The one area the RNG doesn't affect is positioning. So you need to take a lot of care with your positioning. Now I'm going to attempt to cast a real elf. I succeed. Elves are pretty great creatures to have in the early game, simply because they have a very high attack range. So you think of in terms of threat range. Your threat range is your attack range plus your movement range. So the elf has a movement range of 2 and an attack range of 4, which gives it a threat range of 6 hexes. As you can see by this, the orange boundary here is kind of huge for an early game creature. See what the AI does. The AI grabs a mana sprite and summons an elf of its own. I'm going to try to attempt to grab the high ground here. I've cast Magic Wing. What Magic Wing does is gives the wizard the flying ability as well as increases the movement range to 3. Very useful when you want to move forward aggressively, very useful when you want to retreat from a threat. Again, if you want to see what the Magic Wing does, hit F2, it tells you the wizard, your current abilities. I can currently fly because of Magic Wings. And my movement range is now highlighted in green because I've increased it. My agility is also increased due to the same spell. Do I want to move forward? If I don't move down, I'm in danger of getting killed by the rat. It's only a 25% chance, but ideally you want to reduce that to 0. Elf move forward. Does it? Can't reach my eagle, so I got a choice here. What do I want to do? The AI attempted to disbelieve my elf, but because it was a real creature, the AI has squandered its opportunity to cast a spell during its turn because it failed its disbelief. I'm going to attempt to kill this elf here. It's only a 33% chance. I succeed and I removed a threat, which means I can move forward with my elf and my wizard. Cast Magic Shield. Again, if you take a look at my defense, it's increased to 80, making it harder to kill my wizard. See what the AI responds. How the AI responds. Summon another unicorn. I'm going to attempt to summon an undead creature. I succeed. Hellhounds are pretty great. They have a threat range of 6 hexes. They can move 3 hexes, and their paralyzing stare has a range of 3 hexes. Paralyzing stare doesn't kill targets outright. It immobilizes them and weakens them. Very good way of temporarily stopping threats. I'm going to sacrifice this eagle. And move my elf forward. I could attempt to grab this mana sprite, but if I move my wizard here, this the enemy wizard could attempt to move up here with the unicorn and then cast magic bolt, and magic bolt has a very good chance of killing me, thus ending the match. So I'm not going to move there. Instead, I'm going to position my wizard here and end the turn. And there's my eagle dead. The AI summons a hellhound of its own. Is it real? Not too sure. Can move forward, but that would give the enemy hellhound a chance to paralyze my hellhound. Don't really want that. What I'm going to do is pull my elf back. What do I want to cast now? I'm going to attempt to cast zombies. Zombies are very slow moving. Their attack is very weak at 10, but they do have a special ability. They have the zombify ability, which whenever you kill an enemy creature with your zombie, it is resurrected as an undead ally. But their main purpose here, their main function in this particular situation, is to block these 3 creatures from approaching my wizard, as well as give the enemy hellhound something else to think about. Going to end turn. We are at turn 9 right now. Now, is that a real paladin? I'm going to cast Disbelief. I suspect it is a real paladin, but I can afford to fail my disbelief. It is a real creature, so what I'm going to do now is move my dwarf forward, attempt to block off this approach to my wizard. I'm going to attempt to paralyze this hellhound. There's a 56% chance of succeeding. I failed. So what do I want to do now? I think I'm going to move my elf back to attempt to take the high ground, which gives me a better chance of attacking targets. My zombie gets paralyzed. Normally living creatures can't attack undead creatures, but since my zombie has been paralyzed, living creatures can now target the paralyzed zombie. A lot of subtle rules to this game. It's not immediately obvious, which I think one of the problems with the game is that it's too subtle for its own good. It takes a while to really grasp all the subtleties in the game, which is why usually you see most of the negative reviews on Steam are by players who've played it only for a few hours. Some players have played for a long time and decided that's not their type of game, which is fair enough. As you can see there, my zombie kill the enemy rat, and now the enemy rat has been resurrected as a zombie under my control. I'm gonna move my dwarf forward. I can cast a spell now. I'm gonna cast a lion. This time I'm gonna cast an illusion. Again, illusions function exactly as real creatures do, except if the enemy wizard disbelieves the lion, it immediately disappears. So there's a whole game within a game when it comes to bluffing, when it comes to illusions. Players can often tie themselves in knots trying to figure out, is it real or is it fake? That's one of the key elements of the game, psychology. Probably one of the best elements of the game, and one of the least appreciated elements of the game, I think. Very few strategy games feature bluffing. Going to attempt to attack the Hellhound with my... and it was an illusion. I'm going to move my dwarf back. The paladin can still attempt to attack the dwarf, but as far as possible, you don't want to give your enemy free attacks on your creatures. Ideally, you want to attack the enemy first. So positioning is often vital. I do have a 30% chance of killing the paladin. I'm going to take it. I succeed and removed a very dangerous threat. Right now I can move my Hellhound forward with impunity because the goblin can't do anything against the Hellhound. However, the enemy wizard can attempt to kill it with, say, a magic bolt. I'm going to leave... do I want to leave my elf back here or move forward? I think I'm going to leave it here. So I do have the advantage now. Both of my zombies have been paralyzed, but in terms of creatures, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures on the battlefield compared to the 2 weak early game creatures the AI has. On top of that, one of the threats, the goblin, has been paralyzed. So I do have the advantage now. What do I want to cast? I'm going to put additional pressure on the enemy wizard by casting a real eagle. Let's see what the enemy does. It kills one of my paralyzed zombies, which is fine. I don't really need the zombies now. And the AI has summoned a lion. I'm going to attempt to paralyze the enemy lion. Is it real? Good question. I've killed the enemy rat and summoned another undead rat under my service. I'm going to attempt to disbelieve the lion. I fail. The lion is real, so I can attempt to paralyze it. I fail. What if... fail again? So failure is one of the areas I think new players have trouble dealing with. You have to deal with failure. It's one of the elements in the game. Some players evidently have a lot of trouble dealing with failure. What do I want to do here? As you can see, the lion's movement is severely curtailed because I've got 2 creatures blocking it. I'm going to attempt to kill it with my elf. Once again, the elf, because of its huge threat range, is doing a lot of damage. Can the moving closer to the mana sprite, but not quite in range of the enemy wizard. One of the most interesting spells in this game is Gooey Blob, which has a casting range of 3 hexes, but it also immediately immobilizes enemies in a 1 hex range. So it has an effective range of 3+1. So a couple of choices here. What do I want to do? None of these attacks are very potent, so they are more likely to fail than succeed. Do I want to waste the eagle on a 33% chance, knowing that it would give the dwarf a free attack in the free shot at the eagle in the next turn? I think I'm going to leave the eagle here. This time the elf fails. Now I can attempt to cast my mega spell. It's only a 65% chance of succeeding. I'm going to boost it with mana. I succeed and I get 3 elephants. Elephants are mounts. They are very useful because they give your wizard, it's almost as if you're giving your wizard an extra life. Sort of a suicidal move by the enemy AI. My eagle has a 43% chance of killing the enemy wizard and thus winning the match. My elf has a 38% chance of killing the enemy wizard and winning the match, but first I'm going to attempt to paralyze the enemy wizard. I failed. How do I get a 38%? If you notice, the number is 20 to 38%. If I move my elf over here, I get a 38%. If I attack over here, it's probably going to be 20%. So positioning, again, very important. That is the end of the match. Relatively simple, straightforward victory. Took 15 turns. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of videos. Like to explore and examine various facets in the game. I like to examine mana management. I like to examine illusions and psychology. When is the best time to use an illusion? Why might you want to fail or disbelieve? I think those are all elements that's worth exploring in detail in other matches. But for now, I'm going to end the video here and see you next time.